All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a super relatable developer journal entry from July 10th, 2026. The author, Ang, was deep in the weeds trying to optimize Hspec test execution in Haskell. Now, if you've ever found yourself wrestling with your testing framework, just begging it to do exactly what you want it to do, well, this one is definitely for you. We're going to explore a really common workflow dilemma, look at the traps we fall into when we're chasing a quick fix, and finally, check out the elegant solutions that actually keep our dev cycles running smooth as silk. We're kicking things off with this incredibly candid realization from Ang. It basically drops us right over their shoulder during a testing workflow dilemma we've probably all faced at some point. Ang writes, "In one of my commit, where I decided to force running the entire test suite, little did I aware this is not a practical solution." I mean, it's just such a fantastic, honest moment, right? You can practically feel that exact second of dread. You think you've nailed a problem with a clever little hack, only to realize, oops, actually, I just created a completely new nightmare for myself. So what's the actual friction here? Well, it's something literally every developer runs into. Under normal circumstances, Hspec is built to save you time. You run your tests, a few of them fail, and the next time you hit run, it only reruns those specific failures. It's a massive time saver. But sometimes you just need a clean slate. You need to temporarily bypass that handy little shortcut to force a completely fresh top-to-bottom run of the entire test suite. Maybe you just pushed a massive architectural change across the codebase, or, you just want that absolute peace of mind that everything is green. The goal is simple: run the whole shebang. And that brings us to Ang's very first and admittedly flawed attempt to fix this. The initial approach was pure brute force. Just open up the .hspec configuration file and straight up delete the -- rerun argument right out of it. I mean, you want it to stop rerunning only the failures? Just delete the rule. Seems completely logical at first glance, doesn't it? But here's where we really have to ask ourselves, why is this quick, seemingly harmless hack actually a massive trap? On the surface, sure, it gets the job done right then and there. The very next test run is absolutely going to execute the entire suite because the framework literally has no idea it was ever supposed to just look for failures. But as Ang found out really fast, and honestly, as most of us learned the hard way at least once, messing with your core configuration files for a one-time need is playing with fire. Here is the absolute crux of the issue. By torching your configuration for a 5-second convenience, you are actively sabotaging your own long-term workflow. Think about it. If you delete that -- rerun flag, what happens tomorrow, or even just 10 minutes from now when you want to quickly verify that a tiny typo fix actually resolved a single failing test? Boom, you've completely lost the ability to do that fast. You're now forcing yourself and potentially your whole team to sit there waiting for the entire suite to run every single time. And all because of a temporary tweak you forgot to change back. Thankfully, we don't have to live like that. There are actual, proper, non-destructive ways to bypass this logic without permanently scarring your config files. We definitely don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. What we really want is the flexibility to force a full run on demand, right? But we also absolutely need to keep that lightning-fast default behavior locked in for our minute-to-minute, day-to-day coding cycles. So in the journal entry, N graciously outlines 2 distinct, completely clean methods to bypass this logic without breaking a single thing. Both of these approaches are completely non-destructive. They respect your existing setup and leave your long-term configuration exactly how it should be. Let's break down these 2 elegant alternatives. The first, and honestly probably the best approach, Ang notes, is just elegantly simple. Literally just delete the state file. See, when Hspec runs and hits failures, it remembers them by saving them in a specific little file called .hspec failures. It's basically the framework's short-term memory. So if you want it to forget the past and start totally fresh, you just wipe its memory. By running a quick rm.hspec failures in your terminal, the slate is wiped clean. The next time you run your tests, Hspec looks for that file, sees nothing there, and naturally just runs everything from scratch. Your configuration file stays totally untouched, and the very second a test fails again, it gracefully creates a brand new failures file, and your fast rerun workflow is instantly back online. Now, if you don't really want to mess around with deleting files, there is a second method. You can override the flag dynamically by explicitly telling Hspec, hey, run the entire suite right now. You do this by passing a broader scope straight through the command line. So if you run stack test, -- test arguments, -- all, you are basically just shouting over the configuration file for this one specific execution. It's the perfect temporary override command. You get your full exhaustive test run right then and there. But the very next time you run your normal standard test command, your original fast rerun config takes the wheel again. So wrapping up this explainer, it leaves us with a really critical question to take back to our own daily work. Are your quick testing hacks secretly sabotaging your long-term workflow? I mean, it is so incredibly easy in the heat of the moment to just hack a config file, swear up and down you'll change it back, and then totally forget about it, secretly draining your own productivity for weeks. Aang's journal entry is just the perfect reminder that taking, maybe 10 extra seconds to find the right non-destructive override, like tossing out a state file or just passing a quick CLI flag, is always worth the effort. It keeps our tools working for us instead of us fighting against them.